Well, let's stay with this Syria story. Turkey's former Minister of EU Affairs, Egemen Bagis, joins us now from Istanbul. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Were you surprised by this? Did you have any idea it was going to happen?
Well, it was about time because the midterm elections are over and President Trump is now gearing up for his re-election campaign. And this has both domestic involvement and also global involvement. There's always been an understanding that US is more inclined to be in Iraq rather than in Syria in the Middle East, and Russia is more interested in Syria than Iraq. And I think the two powers have distributed their responsibilities or the areas where they want to be militarily present. And Turkey was, for a long time, pressuring Washington to somehow stop supporting YPG terrorists, which is an affiliation of PKK. And this way, US military withdrawing from Syria is going to make Turkey's life much easier to cleanse the area from all types of terrorists, including Daesh, Al-Qaeda, YPG, PKK, whoever else is there threatening the peace and prosperity of the region.
That's interesting. You seem to be indicating that Turkey is definitely going to make a military move into Syria. Of course, we know already for the past week, President Erdogan has been speaking about it almost every day, saying that there's going to be this operation against the YPG terror group to the east of the Euphrates. But this decision by Donald Trump surely now places even more responsibility on Turkey now to take action against Daesh. An American report says there are 14,000 Daesh fighters still in Syria.
Well, Turkey is not interested in controlling Syria, but Turkey is very much interested in cleansing her own borders from any threats. Because as long as those terrorists are there, be it YPG, be it Daesh, and they have access to Turkey's borders, that's a huge threat for us. It's a threat against our national security. So we have to do what we have to do to protect our citizens, to protect our own stability. We're not interested in a bit of Syria. We're not interested in their natural resources or their land or their regime. But we want to make sure that there is no clear and present danger that is threatening the lives of our own citizens. So we will do what is necessary, as we have always done. It's not going to be the first time Turkey is doing an operation in Syria or in her neighborhood, but we are just interested in cleansing the borders, making sure there is enough room to protect ourselves, for our citizens to feel safe. And in the long run, we want 3.5 million Syrians to feel safe about going back to their homes. We have been providing a safe haven to them for years, and we've been spending billions without any global financial support. And we did that just because they had no other place to go. But it is time for Syrians to go and take control of their own country.
I just want to ask you this question, bearing in mind that Hassan Rouhani, Iran's president, is here in Turkey. He's going to be attending with President Erdogan this bilateral conference, which seeks to create better relations between the countries. How much pressure is there on President Erdogan, given that Donald Trump's basic tenet for his entire administration's Middle East policy is to counter Iran? What pressure does that put on Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who's trying to deal with Hassan Rouhani, who, bear in mind, are almost on different sides regarding the war in Syria? Of course, they're both trying to find a political solution, but one in Tehran supports Bashar al-Assad, the other in Ankara wants that dictator to be deposed.
Well, we cannot evaluate bilateral relations on multinational level, meaning we will not be pressured vis-a-vis our relations with Iran because of the attitudes of other countries towards Iran. Turkey will have to look at her own national interest. So will Iran, so will US, so will Syria. But we will try to find win-win platform for both sides. Iran has recently announced that they're willing to negotiate or renegotiate with the Trump administration without any preconditions. President Trump is a deal maker, as we all know. Russia has been supporting Assad, as you mentioned, for years, for decades. and Iran has been pro-Assad as well. And we have nothing against democratically elected Assad. If he can win the hearts and minds of his own people, we're not going to reject to a democratic solution. But we want democracy, stability, peace, and prosperity for Syria. And I assume every other country would want the same. So we will try to find ways to create win-win platforms for all involved parties. But Turkish-Iranian relations go back. The oldest border between any two countries in the world is the Turkish-Iranian border, which has not changed an inch since the constitutional agreement.
Okay.
So we will continue working with Iran, and we will try to convince them to work with the international community, and we will try to convince the international community to work with them as well.
Egemen Bagis, we really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.